generations to come, if your whole focus is on nothing but the dollar and how you can get it and get it fast and get a lot of it, you've missed the whole picture of why you're here.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying.
You're
Like,
not here for money. You're here because the man upstairs is testing you.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's wanting you to find him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he will prosper you because he's in your life.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
I
big
had
picture.
completely, and I feel like the only way you understand that is when you go through your own personal awakening, when you really open up your eyes to the world in front of you and really ask
Yep.
yourself, do I feel truly aligned with the reason why I'm here? Like, am I truly
Yes.
in alignment? Am I truly happy? Is this what I came down here to do?
mm-hmm.
And it's like sometimes when you don't even go through that awakening, you are not even, it's like you're still asleep. You're not even awake to what is going on.
Right.
You're not even.
One thing I've learned, 63 years of my life, I have learned that the Lord will prosper you in your life when you give him your life, because he gave you that life.
Yeah.
And things will happen to you that tenfold. You can't believe these things are happening because you do have your eye centered to him. He will help you along the way to prosper and to be able to have business and do incredible things in this world. But it's got to be, the things that you do in this world have got to be at the benefit of others.
Yes.
If you are only doing it to benefit and praise yourself and to just make yourself rich and it's all about you, you will lose it quick.
And this
Because
is,
you're not helping anybody.
you don't help anybody. But this is what I'm saying is like, so what I was saying was, in today's world that we have, right? It's way different than any world we've ever seen in the last decade.
Oh yeah.
So-
There's a lot of everything.
Yeah, in the
Easily
last,
accessible.
10 years, you know, you go back just, 10 years is nothing. Like, 10 years is like a blink of an eye. If you go back 10 years, you didn't have the ability that we have today. And what I mean is that back in the day, as a parent and everything, or as a person who had to make money, take care of a house, you had to work, and you didn't even make enough money to be in a situation where working actually gave you the freedom of time, right? And the time to, you know, take a Friday off every other week to, you know, go to a ball game with your kid, or to like be in a situation where, you know, your life, where you didn't give value to your life. And what I was trying to say is that they're in a position, as you know, in their situation where they're making enough money and they don't understand that they have this opportunity to where you have to put your life, your house, and your home as a priority to why you make money. They're making money, but they don't understand why they have to make money. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. Like right now, you know, I've seen so many opportunities out there, and I'm like, man, when I was doing websites, I had to code and use Dreamweaver, and I had to sit for 8 hours writing websites. And when I did photography, I had to edit my photos hand by hand through Photoshop, and that took 8 hours. Now I have apps that build me a website in 20 minutes. I have apps that edit 100 photos in 5 minutes. I mean, there is endless things to do, because I started a Discord, and I started researching all the ways to make money, because, you know, to have those, and then because I don't ever want to talk about something unless I actually like did it. So now I'm looking at all these things going, okay, does any of this work? And man, there's AI websites that literally you download an app, creates an entire admin for you. So I can schedule, I just talk to my phone, it schedules out, emails everyone what we're doing, follows up with them, gives them an itinerary. It's insane what you can accomplish today. And that's what I was saying. Their problem is that they're making money, but they don't understand that the point of the money is to always create a better home. We didn't have that opportunity when we grew up.
No, we did
You know,
not.
anyone who's over 40 didn't really have that.
I told you what Austin said. At my kitchen table, I was like, honey. I was like, he said, I want to make as much money as I can, as fast as I can, and I just can't wait to be old and just be retired.
Oh, no.
And I looked at him and I said to him, I said, Austin,
the journey that you will have to be
on. In life yet.
Yeah. Woo.
There are dues that all of us have to pay.
Yeah.
In life to get to that point. And I said to him, if you're looking at what you see Alexandra's parents have now, you don't think that her daddy and I sacrificed and worked ourselves to the bone to get to where we're at right now? You are mistaken. It doesn't come easy like that.
Yeah.
And
usually when it does come easy like that, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And you're not grateful for what you have.
No.
Yeah. And there's
so
just
right off the bat, he just wants to be old and retired and not work.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, but we're also the generation. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I like doing the Pavis therapy page and sitting and doing the talks like this is so important, because it's, to us, it sounds crazy when when you're 55, 60 years old or 64, like, and you've been like spent 23 years in the military. You've done the hardest things that you can do in the best opportunities that were available. And it's like, here's my life now, and it's great. And it's like, and then some kid comes along and they're 25, 26, 30 years old, and they're like, hey,
they want it easy.
Yeah, I'm going to be rich by I'm 45. I'm going to retire, and in your mind it's like, you got to earn that. But but to be honest, I'm telling you, the world that we've created through all the things that we didn't have, made it easy. It made it easy for them. Yeah, we used to dream to have this. We all wanted to be rich by 30 and never working. And the thing is that we didn't finish that in 10, 15 years that we had. We finished it 40 years later, right? Yeah. So now the dream that we had to have that actually is real. But we don't get it because it had to be built. And now the technology and all the opportunities have been built. So when these kids, I mean, I'm telling you, there's kids that are 15 years old opening up gifts and presents, making $300,000 a year on YouTube. Yeah. I mean, they're saying things that doesn't seem real, but is real. Yeah. And that's why we have to understand, like, hey, I'm okay with him wanting to be like that. What he needs, though, is to understand, okay, I get it. Be rich, be retired, get old, have all the money. What is important that you haven't learned yet, that most people don't learn, is that when your kids turn 20, you didn't have the time to raise them, play baseball, hug them,
you know what?
Help them mature.
This shocked me when Bri told me this. And we have so many conversations about his childhood versus my childhood, certain things. He said to me, his father and mother had 9 children. There were 3 boys and 6 girls. And he was the second born, not the 6th born or the 9th born. He was the second son.
Right.
Yeah. Which
and he said, my dad never threw a ball to me my whole life.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
Wow. I was like, what?
But see, this is
my
this
dad
is life.
Never picked up a ball and threw a ball to me.
Well, that's interesting because, like, since he's a part of, you said 9 of like the kids, and he's the second. It's like the closer you are, like whether you're the firstborn or even the secondborn in that instance, it's like you carry most of the karmic weight of the parents. So it's like, especially you being second, you had all these other siblings below. Like you had to be in that situation where it's like, I have to look out for the clan because there's so many of you guys. So that's interesting that he said that, and it was like,
I was in such shock because I grew up a girl.
Yeah.
And Mom, the way Mom was, we always threw balls and horsed around in the backyard and did volleyball, threw basketball, threw balls. We always had a blast, and we were girls. Yeah. It was the parents. It was because of who she was.
Right.
And I was like, wow. I said to him, I said, why do people have that many children
Right,
if
it's
they're
just
not willing to be parents?
And you know, that's why I always like this quote. It's like everybody, like a lot of people have the ability to procreate and have
Yes.
kids, but not
Yes.
everybody is meant to be a parent. Not everybody knows the true
No, they
essence
don't know.
to be
His dad
a
worked,
parent.
and his mom was she was at home 24/7.
Yeah,
And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
you were the second son?
yeah,
And I was like in shock. I was like, I can't even believe this. Didn't you have a Saturday and a Sunday? Didn't you have time where you could be in the backyard with your dad?
no.
He never
And
did that
that's-
with me. He was always on the computer. He never paid attention to his children.
And here's
that's
the thing.
really interesting because that's kind of like the dynamic with me and my own dad. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's interesting how like he had that childhood and then he just saw, okay, military, that fits me. And that makes sense because like that's almost kind of like a military type vibe. Like it's just things happen and you know there's and you know he doesn't give me attention and that's just how it
Life's
is.
hard, basically.
And that's the first understanding of life. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
that's what I mean. Like, and we also have to understand these are why like these type of conversations are important. And people, it's the education of what we're missing here is because everything is based on how we grew up and our memories and how life was, and we're also forgetting that during the 1920s to the 1990s, it was pretty much almost the same scenarios, right? I mean, think about like Dad, right? 1920. Well, we get a TV in 1950. I mean, when I was a kid, we had what 3 channels? Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 7, like.
Yeah.
And then when I turned 15, that was when cable first came out, and I mean it was if you had a color. I still remember the black and white TV, but if you had like cable, you were a rich person in a neighborhood. It was so.
I'm going to tell you a funny story before I forget.
It's crazy.
So Bri finally gets to high school and stuff. He's going to high school. Well, about sophomore year, he's 15, he decides to go get a job because he wants to earn some money to do some things, as any normal teenager would want to do. So he did a paper route. Then he did work for a paper production manufacturer or something and a paint company, whatever. He was earning his own money. And he would go to do that after high school, after school, he would go to his job. Well, he saw that all of his siblings in the house didn't have TV or anything to watch or any entertainment. He took it upon himself to call the cable guy and have them install cable so that his siblings and him would have some entertainment. Mm-hmm. He used his money. He did not use anybody's money but his own to do this. His dad hit the freaking roof when he saw that cable had been installed in the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And lost his ever-loving freaking mind. And Bri was like, I paid for it myself. I just thought it'd be nice for all of us to have something to watch, some entertainment. We have nothing.
Right.
He even bought the TV and everything.
It's evolution.
And his dad called the cable company, had him come and rip it out.
Yeah. But that's like, and that's a time where TV was also misunderstood because people are like, well, now you're putting this in my house and there's nothing. And I understand, like I said, it's almost like the same thing when my kids got an iPad and they had YouTube. I didn't really realize how terrible YouTube was without filters.
Oh, yeah.
So we gotta. That's what I'm saying. We gotta realize that during the time periods that we're talking, like the 70s to 2010, there were no changes, and then all of a sudden, we had a phone, and then we had apps, then we had the internet, and it was like dial up, and then we went from dial up to like running on our entire life on a cell phone now. I mean, I can do everything I ever did in my office or a music studio. I can do an entire album with a computer. I have an entire music entourage on my PC that's 15 inches wide. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. And we forget that we went 100 years in 10 years. And people we can't fathom The other day I was walking through Walmart and I heard the song and I said to myself, man, he didn't realize how right he was when he goes, time keeps on slipping into the future. I mean, we didn't slip. We dove. We went 100 years, and everyone's looking around going, okay, so let me get this right. My car, buy a car, it goes out there and acts like a taxi by itself, and it only needs electricity, and it makes me money. What? You know, right? You have autonomous cars that you can. Gosh, and we're all sitting around, and we're still kind of trying to assess these moments based on our life and how we grew up, and then we're assessing people, but we got to realize that they are living 100 years from or 50 years from where we were, even though it was 10. You know, like their life is completely different. I mean, just to see, because even though I'm 50, I live in the tech world. I've played games, video games. Oh, yeah. I've gamed my entire life. I act like a 24-year-old all the time. And I've seen the elevation of apps, tools, and I mean, I got to tell you, this generation that came out this last 2 years with AI, oh my God. The things that I can do today in an hour would take me 5 months in the past. It is incredible. Yes. I'm talking about you can build an entire. You can do. There is nothing you can't do. So, but that's what people don't realize. But think about the gap, man.
Brian has talked about this because he was an intel officer. He knew a lot about that. And he says, you just wait. He said, there is going to come a time where everybody's information is gone and taken.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's because it's not that it's taken. It's just that it hasn't been utilized. It's like if you hand the funniest thing is if we sat down with people right now that are 18, 19, and we put a phone on the counter that was a rotary phone, they couldn't call for help. Right? But that was a common thing for us, right? You attach a phone to a wall you remember you attach if we bought a regular phone, attached it to the wall, and they had a 2-foot cord on it, they would die. They would have no idea that what you do is you go and buy a telephone cord wire that's 180 feet or 200 feet, and you drag that around your house.
I still have the first mobile phone ever made that we bought.
But that's why we have to. The conversations have to be so open, because it's like we are. Even though we're, most people have children and they're like, okay, even if you're on the older side, say, okay, I'm 40 years old, my child was just born. You have a 40-year gap, except your child, once they reach 10 to 15, they have lapped you by 50 years. Right? Their technology is so far advanced that it just like everything that we dreamed of is reality for them, is the best way to say it. Like that's where you have to kind of put the understanding is like whatever comes out of their mouth, it is possible, even though in our lifetime we never thought it was. Like, you remember the Jetsons? There's flying cars right now. I mean,
I know.
So
I remember watching the Jetsons. That is never gonna happen.
But that's the problem. Literally, but if someone would have told you it happened, by the time you're 60, there'll be flying cars. You're like, nah.
That quick?
Nah. I mean, because in the Jetsons, that was like 2000. There's 2090. That was hundreds of years away. But that's what I mean. It's like. It's very, and that's where the disconnect is because both sides, one knows that possibilities are infinite, and the other side knew that everything wasn't possible. Now that the conversation ends because there's no middle ground, like we didn't grow together. It's not like, it's not like going from a regular black and white TV to color and then going from 3 channels to 100. It wasn't like we evolved together and we learned together. It was literally a cell phone, an app, and then all of a sudden, you're in this next generation. And we didn't have the time to most people miss what happened. Do you know how many people are just learning how to use an app on a phone? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got people, and I work with people all the time that can't use Discord, which is, to me, is like, yeah, you download an app and you plug in an email and then you go to the thing and it looks like a forum. Like, you never.
Everything else.
Yeah, it's like everything else that we use, and they're like, oh, I don't even do all that. I mean, I'm blown away that people don't know how to use basic Gmails.
Well, anybody that's your age or younger should, but the older people,
I'm telling you.
we don't use it in our daily life. You know?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the information isn't lost; it's just not utilized. Like, you can't hand Marcy a map and be like, "Yo, find this place."
No.
There's
a disconnect.
It is so funny because she'll use.
But I grew up with that, so you can hand me a map and I'll tell you where to go.
If you were like latitude and this and that, people are like, huh?
Whoa.
Whoa.
I barely know my north.
What's funny is like she'll do the Google and then.
And that's what's funny about Utah. It's north, south, east, and west.
Yeah, and she'll do Google, but then she likes to actually watch the car drive. So while she does that, the map is spinning and turning, and she's like, I got lost. I'm like, like, you got lost on your app map?
Yes, I get lost with the GPS, not the web maps.
That's hilarious.
Not the web maps.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, this is why we have to have like the conversations of like, it's just, we both have to understand. Okay, you can do anything in your life right now because it is possible. Believe me, I'm like, right now I'm going through all these AI things and I'm just like, man, because I'm getting on, my kids like, guys, what are you doing? You're 20 years old. You can build a company in 30 days. Like, what do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm kind of like, I need to come out of retirement to show you how to work.
A lot of the young generation is lazy.
Well, I don't know if they're lazy or they just don't, like, they have so much at their hand, they don't even know.
It's the government's fault.
Yeah, I think it's the government. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Because
Well,
the
They
schooling
created
system,
a lazy generation
the schooling
that
system
knew they didn't have to go to work
messed
and
it
they'll
up.
get a check.
Well, here's what we have to say, right?
It's the school system.
Here's what it is.
It's the school system.
And this is it. And this is another point, right?
Marcy, I got you, girl.
Yeah. I totally
And so I told
agree.
so
I totally agree.
so when we got together, right, 3 years ago, I would only talk about certain things, right? And then I would like tell stories about my life, and I'm like, I won't go that far into it. And I'm like, there's certain things in life you just shouldn't really read on. One day you'll read them, And now she's like, did you know? And I'm like, yeah, I did. Like, but when you're, it's like some things you have to stumble upon so that you can kind of like, because there's things out there, But here's the thing: is like when we have to start doing this, right? It's not government that did it; it's entities within the power of the government that uses our government against us.
Demonic.
So, like for instance, right? For instance,
you're absolutely right.
and here's an example.
That's what I meant to say.
But we, the people, we just lay back and let them do it.
Well, because we were raised. Okay, so the way the system is supposed to work, which is if you read it and you go out, it's kind of like this. It's like buying a robot vacuum, and it's like this vacuum will drive around and pick up everything, and it won't eat your carpet. And you just leave it for a month while you go on vacation. You come home and it ate your carpet, and you're like, "What happened?" Like this instruction set, and then you read and said, "Well, it could do this, this, and this if right." And you're like, "Oh, there's bad to this." Like we don't realize that when you read something, that people can turn it into anything they want.
Yeah.
And people can manipulate things any way they want.
You have to read the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's where it's, for instance, like Las Vegas, right? Las Vegas has schooling, and we've all been in places where schools do certain things. Chicago schools do certain things to raise their kids to be like prisoners and very simple. And Vegas actually raised their kid, like their schooling system.
To be in a casino.
Yeah, they school them as if they were going to work in a casino.
Terrible.
Which sounds crazy.
But it makes sense. It makes sense. It's so evil. I know it has to be true. So evil.
But it's so weird because, and we were talking to a teacher. We actually had a couple teachers. They were like, yeah, and and they just kind of put their head back and were like, yeah, well, I mean, I'm just an employee. Like, they know they can't do anything about it.
All of the tax, all the money comes from the casinos to pay for schools and everything else.
And just like how if people know the real, they know that your doctors over the last 100 years have been educated by the pharmaceutical companies. Like if you didn't know that on your college campus when you're taking a medical class, the pharmaceutical companies would send the people in to educate the doctors on the medicines they need to use to cure you, and they removed all the natural things that cure you naturally. But you wouldn't, and the doctors don't, they're in college going, oh, no, I know everything about medicine. I learned from the college. You were taught by a specific entity that wanted you to do something very specifically, which is push their product. But you don't even know it because you were 18 years old and naive. And no one was there to protect you. And we were unaware that that was happening. Right? They don't say, hey, we're going to send your kid to med school. Okay, by the way, while he's in med school, our teachers are actually funded by the pharmaceutical companies and the companies that sell drugs. So he's not going to learn holistic healing. He's going to learn how to peddle drugs.
Yeah.
And if we knew that, then we would have changed it. But they're very sneaky. And that's why when you say government, you have to say to yourself, no, it's not the government, because the government is for us. We just have a lot of dirty people there. Yeah, we have dirty people in there manipulating the system because we're not paying attention to the system, because the system is this. It was supposed to be we give tax money, you give us free education and make sure our roads and everything is safe. Instead, it turned into you take our tax money, then you give it to a third party who says they're going to go negotiate deals. They go out and say, okay, Blue Cross, how much is for this insurance? $50. Okay, Cigna, how much is it? $50. Okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to raise your rate to 100. You're going to raise your rate to 100. And now what you're going to do is you're going to make twice as much money on your insurance policy, but you're going to donate 10% of that to this organization, because we're doing research on how to make insurance better. Basically, them paying that. And then they go back to the government and the government says, okay, how do we do? They say, well, we got a really good deal, guys. We now pay $100 a month. And the people that we have in the government are so stupid, or the people that we have in those positions are like, oh, that's a good deal because that guy told them, because they're getting paid to go get the best deal, so you don't question the guy who's getting you the deal because you're uneducated. But if you were in the insurance business, you would say, well, let me get this right. I was paying $40 a month. Now you tell me there's universal health care and I've got all these benefits, but now I'm paying $300 a month and a copay? Like, how did I don't know how this works, but basic business is, if insurance companies have 100 people, right? If you have a company and you take 100 employees and you go to Blue Shield or whoever prior to the Obamacare, and you turn around and you say, I've got 100 people, and they say, okay, it's going to be $47 or $56, let's just say $60 a month. Then you come back and you hire another 100 people, and you say, hey, I got 100 more people, and they say, oh, you get a discount. You go from 60 to 50. And then another 100 people, you go down to 42, and eventually they reach an area that they're like, okay, you have so many people that this is the cheapest rate you can get. So now everyone who comes in pays $42, right? Just like anywhere you go, the more customers you have, the cheaper the price goes, right? How can you take the entire country, make everyone get insurance, and have the government take all their insurance and subsidize it to the insurance companies, and somehow the price went up 4x?
Yeah.
Like, it's this, if anyone understood basic business, that was a bad deal. We got less and pay 4 times more. Like, none of that makes sense in the regular world, because you could have just got your own insurance and paid half that price on your own. So where did we win?
That's the main reason why I stayed in for 20 years and Brad did 22, is because we knew for life we would have military veterans health care. Yeah.
And this is where we're such a brand company. Oh, yeah. You guys, I mean, if they would have said, hey, we're going to give you universal health care. And you're
like Canada.
Yeah, you're going to have, you're going to have a paycheck or some type of money for the rest of your life. And And they said, okay, well, but you need to go out here and possibly die. We're going to inject Agent Orange into you. We're going to make sure. I'd have been like, I'm good. I'll take the risk. I'll take the risk, man. It's like, and then to not, and that's what kills me is that the people that check that box, I can't stand when I see anything that has to do with a veteran that doesn't have somewhere to go, somewhere to live, some type of mental health doctor, or some type of facility.
One thing you have to understand about Vietnam, they weren't given a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Nixon and Johnson before him, they weren't given a choice to say yes or no. They were just drafted. They had no choice.
Yeah, they just took you.
When I went to the Gulf War, I had a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
not given a choice.
Yeah.
And then they wound up with all these horrible diseases and forgotten about.
Right, that's unacceptable. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're at. If you're an American and someone went out there and you I don't care if you didn't like the war. That person didn't have a choice. Yeah. And as people,
guys did not have choices.
As people, we should say, hey, you need to come up with health care for these people. And we just need a better system overall. And we got to stand together and say we don't do things like this. And that's where the evolution comes, right? That's where this is things that these current generations, they're all the protests, all the things that some craziness. They're not educated by actual people.
Well, unfortunately, like now it's better. Now they have all the health care they need, but it didn't matter because now they're all dead.
Yeah.
Now they're still dying, and they still have Agent Orange, and they have cancer everywhere in their body.
Yeah.
So now it doesn't matter, and they never took care of that.
Yeah.
They just let them die.
Yeah, no, I mean, but this is where, and it's like, you fool me once, Buzz, go fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, I mean you.
Yeah.
But we have to understand that if you really understand most of it, if you go back in time, the countries didn't even have money for military. If you go back to the Cuba times and JFK and all those, the mob was actually funding the military to fight the Cubans and all these things that were happening. Like,
yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So,
he had a lot of mob connections.
Yeah, but they needed money. Like, people don't realize that there was money coming from notorious places, and they were paying it just like they had their unions, because they figured, okay, we'll help out America, because I mean, even though we're immigrants here, we make our money here, and we don't want to be we don't want to get bombed. So they just figured, okay, we'll give you money to do what you need to do, and then in the end, make sure you're not putting me in federal prison for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it was kind of like scratch your back, this and that, but then they realized that once they got that ball rolling and they could create money through wars, then it became an epidemic of how to make money off people.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. But that's what I'm saying. It's like people don't realize that 100 years is where all the chaos really happened, and that's only one person's lifetime. Like, this is we're like 400 years in the future in the last 100 years, and we can't process it fast enough. And then
it's gonna be incredible. Like, I think about it all the time. I'm like, wow. I was like, Brian, I was born in 1962. It is 2025. Did you ever think that you would be saying those words? Right. It feels futuristic.
Right.
I mean, just say 2000. You remember when
2025? Oh my gosh.
Marcy didn't know that there was a panic when 1999.
2000.
Yeah. She had no idea. Yeah, and I was like,
we were stationed in Hawaii when they thought the whole world was going to come to an end, and that Y2K, that they were going to knock out all of our computers and everything.
It sounds so crazy. Like, what do you guys
It was a real fear. The fear was when the people created the computers, they didn't put space for the next digit.
Terrible planning.
Yeah.
It was so
terrible planning, you guys.
It was like, wait a minute. So let me get this right. So when 1999 flips, it's all going to go to zero, and every computer's going to crash, and planes are just going to fly out. Like people really thought planes were going to go down.
I'm staying home just in case.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, we have to look at 1999 and really be like, Y2K. That sums up what happened. Like, because that was our generation going, what the hell's going on? And then that's how the next generation feels, because they jumped 100, 200 years in the future. And now that's the disconnect. I mean, we thought every plane was going to crash and every light was going to go off because we were going because 1999 was going to go to 2, and they didn't know if they put the 2 in the digit. Right?
You know what's funny is that the military perspective was, I remember this, there was no fear, because what they were doing was strengthening their forces, because they didn't know what to expect from other countries.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a fear of anything
see,
going
that's,
down or losing anything.
Yeah.
It was, what were other countries going to do to the U.S.?
And that's where, that is so crazy to me, because it's 1999. Okay, you're talking about the 70s were kind of like evolving. The 80s kind of, we saw things, major cities grow, money actually start to happen. 1990 was the birth of MTV, music, industries, and then it was like, at that moment, one of the most powerful military in the world had to worry about 1999 turning to 2000. They had to worry about 2K. Isn't that crazy? And you're talking about, this is the most highest intelligence of our land.
Right. You guys.
These are the people that we have to protect the world, and they have to worry about Y2K. Like, that to me is like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We say that now, and we're like, and now you go to a military base, we got robots walking around, drones following everybody. We got submarines that drive themselves. I mean, and that's 25 years, and we've had this for the last 10.
Yeah,
so
that was 25 years ago.
Now imagine the next
That's
25.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the first 15 years after 2000, we went from worrying about Y2K to building robotic drones that can find anyone inside of a hole in a mountain.
Yes.
If let that sink in, how far we went.
We have drones in the military that can take out a city.
Yeah, I know.
A whole city.
I mean, it's a college kid's lifetime.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And what has he done?
Crazy.
What has a 20-year-old done in his lifetime? He's just learning how to, he hasn't even. He probably threw up 3 times so far.
Right.
But
seriously.
But what has been built in his lifetime is equivalent to 1 million atomic bombs.
Yep.
Like, that's what we have to understand. Like, we are moving light speed right now, and it's hard it's hard to communicate.
Let me tell you a cool thing about that. So Marcy will understand this. She'll get this immediately. I thought about that a lot. God does not give man the knowledge until the knowledge is needed.
Mm.
Right.
So, for instance, everything you've been talking about, technology. Why do you think we have it today? Why do you think we have all this technology? Why has it been given to us now and not been given to, say, the pioneers of the 1750s or something? Why were they not given the knowledge they needed then?
It wasn't their time.
And us giving it now.
It wasn't their time.
Well, this is the.
No. Let's back up. Hold on. You know why? It's because we are giving just spots of knowledge, like, say, cancer research, brain tumor research, whatever it may be, certain things that cannot be cured. All of a sudden, oh my gosh, we have a cure for this that 100 years ago couldn't find a cure.
Right. We
are given the knowledge at certain times in our life because we're ready for it. We, the doctors, humanity, is ready for it now. Yeah. He does not give it to us until we're ready. And so technology is going to be amazing in Magnolia's lifetime.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, I
What
mean,
will happen in their lifetime will be amazing.
yeah, they'll literally sit on a table.
Yeah.
It'll scan you
Oh
and,
my gosh.
and fix your cells.
Oh my gosh! If we're still here and the Lord has not come back and said that's it, we're done.
Yeah, I mean,
But
you know.
I know He gives mankind the knowledge he needs to cure at the right time.
Right.
For whatever reason, it could be. I've seen it in different perspectives. Spiritually, it could be because man's heart is more ready and acceptable to God's will.
See, I like.
As we progress and man softens his heart, women, man, I just use man in general.
Yeah, yeah.
When our hearts are softened to His will and how He creates and makes things happen, when you realize that it only so much is in your control.
Right.
You have the right to make a decision, right or wrong. You get that right because He can't take that away from you. But He has the will to make things happen.
And this is a big. So we started off, the topic was just kind of like dealing with parents in their 25s to 30. And that was just the misunderstanding of how to appropriate your money and your funds to make your life better.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was making the money that they're making when I was their age, I mean, I made $5. Just to put this in perspective, if you made $4.25, so I was working with people that were raising an entire 4-person family on $250 a week, and when I made $800 a week, I was rich in my neighborhood, and and it's like I didn't have the extra funds to be like, you know what, I'm gonna bring in a maid, and honestly, I didn't have the knowledge to say to myself, you know what, I'm gonna take this extra money and I'm gonna bring in someone to caretake for my kids because I need my kids to be educated more, because we didn't really have options of this super futuristic education like now. Everything's at our fingertips. And
yeah, but all the money you made and all the money I made in that time frame, our cost of living was not as high as it is right now.
Right, yeah.
The cost of living nationwide is astronomical.
It's crazy.
They have to make big money. Alexander said this to me. She said, Mom, we both have to work in order to afford a home. Their generations will all have to work to afford a home because it is not going to get cheaper.
No. And that's because, this is where, like I said, we've moved so fast in time, but we've also given the power to these people we elect as if they're intelligent. And now that we see them speak and talk, we realize they're not. And we've made a mistake. But now the technology's here where we can ask technology to create plans and agendas that solve everything. I mean, like, one thing is I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I'm an American. But when I see a guy in California who started 10, 15 years ago running because he was going to take care of all the homeless, and in his lifetime the homeless has gone triple, and billions of dollars have gone to that state to build homeless things, and none of them have been built yet. And yet to still sit there and say, how do you still vote for this person who has promised you? It's like that relative who comes over, like, you never really see them, but they'll show up and be like, hey man, can I borrow $500? And you're like, for what? I gotta do this. And like, I tell you what, I'll come back. You like you wanted me to paint the shed? Yeah, I'll come back and paint it. And then they're gone for like 6 months, and then you see them again, and they're like, oh man, I need 500. You're like, oh. I said, man, you're gonna come paint the shed? Yeah, I'm gonna paint that shed. And you give them 500. And then you see them in the next 6 months at Christmas, and they're celebrating with you, and they're like, hey man, it's summertime, can you paint that shed? Oh yeah, I'm on it. And then it's like the shed never gets painted, and yet you keep giving them money because it's like, they're family and you believe in them, but it's never going to get done. That's kind of like when I look at Newsom, I'm like, how are you guys still electing this guy? Is he family? Like, what's going on with this guy? He's done nothing for the state, but somehow you can't. I mean, you don't even have to really do research anymore to realize that they're just they just take all the money. Like he has a program, and there was a guy this is real stuff. So there was a guy who was actually a contractor suing the California because he's suing so they built these big hotel buildings for the homeless. A contractor is suing one of the buildings, okay, because he came in and he got contracted to build the building for $18 million, and he started building the building, but then they had some other things came in with when China came in, and we had that big when the harbor got backed up, and magically all of a sudden we couldn't unload anything. And I knew people who worked at the harbor, and they're like, "There's no problem here. They just told us not to unload." Huh? So they created that big problem there, and a lot of their products didn't get in, so it ran the cost up a couple $100,000, $1 million.
Yep.
So the contractor went back to the person that hired them to build the building, and he said, "Hey man, it went over by $1.5 million. Can you cut? Here's what happened. It's not my fault. Can you cover this?" And they refused to pay him. So he dug in and started suing them. Now, if you actually go through the paperwork, and you can pull this up, it's in their public office. Newsom paid the company to build those hotel buildings for the homeless. He gave them $40 million to build it. His friends, or allegedly the people he hired, and this is where we're not going to put blame on him. Maybe he's just not that bright. The people he hired. Okay, I'm not going to. I can't connect the dots for you, but let me explain how this happened. So this guy that's your politician, who has an entire office of people that do research for him and gives him information. So he's not on his own. He has a secretary. He has teams. He has all these people. They elected to choose this company. They chose this company out of all these other companies to build the building because they said they would build the entire building for $40 million, which is cheaper than what everyone else supposedly said they could do it, because we weren't privy to the actual paperwork that people were submitting saying how much they would actually charge. This team then took the money and said, "Cool, we'll build the buildings." They went out, found contractors that would build the buildings for $18 million. They took 40 from California, paid 18 to the builders, kept the other 22 million because they consulted. Now, I don't know how hard it is to do research or call builders. I'm sure there's one or two in California you could have called and said, "Hey, if I built this building, how much would it cost?" And maybe get a couple, ideals of what the cost would roughly be before you paid someone $40 million for something that cost 20. Now, I'm not going to say, maybe he's just stupid. Or, I'm not going to say that, maybe, to me, that sounds like you called a buddy, right? That's kind of like when I come around and I go, "Hey, you say to me, hey, my company just hired me to find someone to paint the building." I go, "Oh, okay, I can. How much are they paying?" "Well, I don't know." They, okay, well, they said they have a budget of $5,000. I'm like, "Oh man, I could paint the whole building for $1,000." And you both say to each other, "Okay, well, don't say that. Write me a receipt for $5,000." And then we charge them $5,000. We both keep $2,000. I'm not going to say that Newsom has a hand in this. Maybe he's really just stupid. If he's really that dumb, maybe that's a reason to get rid of him, because how are you going to...
So this is the problem with billionaires, trillionaires, billionaires. They have so much money they don't even know.
Right.
They don't care.
They don't care.
So dropping $20-40 million and they're like, whatever.
Yeah, but you gotta have it. Don't tell me that if you're getting assessments to build a building, that you didn't get a hold of 10 to 15 builders who offered a price to build it, and somehow you decided to take the guy that was twice as much.
They're not good businessmen, that's for sure.
Right. Well, then you shouldn't be handling the state's budget.
No, exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I don't know whether it's know someone, help someone, took campaign money. I don't want to get into logistics. All I'm saying is, if you paid $40,000 for a building that costs $20,000, you might not be the person for the job to be running the budget.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
I'm so tired. We're so busy trying to prove that people are criminals when it's like you can have a guy on tape being a criminal, and they'll be like,
Maggie's
"I didn't do it."
me.
Oh,
gotta go.
but yeah, good conversation.
Gotta go.
We'll get into the other stuff
FaceTime
later.
me.
Take care. Hilarious. Gone. That's my grandchild. I must leave instantly.
Oh God, drop everything. My love of my life.
Love of my life. But that's just how it is. So that's where we got to be. Where conversations have to change.
We had a really good conversation.
Yeah, it was, and I like where she was going because the God part, and I'm gonna do a different segment on that because that comes down to, we have religion, and religion's very powerful, and we also have like history, we have astrology, numerology, we have timelines, we have a lot of things that could tell us why things happen when they happen. She's right on a point that God gives us stuff when we need it, but sometimes God gives it to us earlier and the man suppresses it.
Yes.
And then eventually the world is always even 50-50. So you can hide light only for so long before light comes. So eventually what happens is we will get the knowledge that we need eventually again because you can't stop that from happening.
Right.
So we had technology in the 1800s, electric cars, we had all types of medicines that cured cancer and all those things. They just erased the books and the history of it.
Yes.
And now it's all coming back to proteins, plants, because now we have the web and we have all this. We're getting information from so many places, they can't stop it.
Exactly. That's why they want to take down TikTok so bad.
Right.
They want to take it down
because
so bad.
people are learning so much from people around the world. They're like, oh, why are you taking that? Just eat this plant. And it works.
Yeah.
And so it's not that in her side, because she is a real, she loves her faith and she believes in her faith, but she just has she's correct, but also incorrect in how she's explaining it. And this is what I'm saying. When you go through time periods, communication is key on understanding how to say something properly. God gave us all the cures. God gave you cures in the Bible. He told you not to eat any of those animals, to eat lamb. He told you not to drink cow milk. He drink goat. It's already there. They suppressed it and hid it and put petroleum inside your medicines and then created a medical school in the 20s to sell their petroleum inside of medicines, which caused all these problems, which allowed them to create all these other medicines that you needed to survive. And why they took all the money as the country grew, because they felt like we're building the country, so you owe us to live here. That's what it was. Everything that was built was a tax for being in America, to live amongst the wealthy, because they wanted to make sure they were the wealthiest, because in their mind, if they are the ones creating all the businesses, they're smarter than the guy on the farm, which they were right at that time, but that's because that person had to be a farmer. He couldn't read. But now once they read, everyone is equal, bro. Now we all have education, right? You've got 98% of the money locked in a vault and everyone else is starving. What's the point? We throw out more food in a day.
Y'all had that grand wedding. And then now you're making more money because now you're putting all my ads on my sheet. Just take the ad money.
Well, that's Hulu. That's Hulu.
Whatever. All y'all, just take that.
Or
one
Disney.
Penny, one little penny off the ground in your house.
But that's what I mean. Like, we have an abundance. How are you going to have a place like CERN, who's learning how to create matter and trying to find black math,
demons,
right?
Demons.
Black matter.
It's the
But
only
we can't. The very first thing you should have cured was hunger.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can't tell me you're intelligent while people are starving on the planet.
That does not make no sense.
When you can grow free food.
Yeah.
My mother, you know what my mother did? My mother took our backyard and we bought peach trees. She bought tons of peach trees. And every year the peaches would come. We would eat the peaches. She would can the peaches. She'd take all the seeds. And she went down into the Latino neighborhoods, into the open land areas where the buildings were gone. And she would physically go out there and plant rows of peach trees. And she did this for years. And 5 years later, we're driving around the neighborhood. She's like, oh, look at my peaches. And she had peach trees all over the place. And she said to me, it was kind of weird. I said, Mom, you got all these peach trees you don't pick. She's like, no, they're not for us, son. I put them there because, there's people who live on the streets. Now they can eat peaches.
But see, you had a mom that taught you that.
That's crazy.
Not everybody has that mom that teaches them that.
But that was the mentality of how she could feed her neighborhood without any. It was free.
Yeah.
And this is from a woman who didn't know how to read or read or write.
That's really impressive.
That's just a mental
that's just
moment.
Her soul.
Yeah.
That's just her soul.
So how do we throw out so much food every single day? McDonald's throws out 5 burgers, chicken nuggets,
it's company
and you
policy
can't
to throw it away.
Yes.
A homeless person
Right.
can literally be on the verge of death,
Die.
and all they need is a donut that you're already throwing
Thrown
away, and they're supposed to say no.
How stupid is that? How dumb is that? But you have all these people rioting the streets, talking about they care, but they don't realize how much food is being thrown away. And that's why they don't understand why we look at them like they're stupid, because they're uneducated. So they're not stupid, they're just ignorant.
You have no
You want to do something, why don't you boycott McDonald's and all the restaurants that don't give their food to the homeless?
Need to be held accountable.
You know how many church people would go to the stores or send up a truck that would drive around to all these stores and pick up the meals on meals, and drop them off to people in the street and feed them? We should never throw food away. Ever. That's like
food is love.
Food is love.
It's life source.
Yes.
It's God.
Yes. We have abundance and we squander it.
That's terrible.
And then we look around and go, we want more. And this is why we have a disconnect in communication.
Yes.
Because intelligent people are looking at you going, they're throwing food away, but you can't figure out how to feed the homeless.
Right. Flint still doesn't have their water.
Flint, Michigan still hasn't had their water fixed.
Every day
3 presidents later.
What is going on?
$10 million is all they need to fix their water in that city.
Nobody got
And they're spending $70 million. What Kamala Harris spend? $100 million?
Yeah, that's how I know.
We couldn't take $10 million to fix the water in Flint, Michigan. That's a whole nother story. Okay. I don't know what it is.
Because that's just demonic.
There's a lot of things out there.
Demonic.
I just feel like it's just the only time you'll never get to the end of what really is until you start with a simple 1-2, which is an issue, how to solve it, and just do it. 1, 2, 3. Have an issue, find the solution, and execute. All this other back and forth, is he a criminal? I mean, is he stealing? We all know he is, allegedly. I mean, at the end of the day, does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
We just need to replace him and then take the money and actually put the homeless people in hotels.
Just think of the big picture here.
Yeah.
Big picture
We're arguing about whether someone isn't. Listen, people are not good people. We have to start here. People are not good. Period. Because if people were good, there'd be no homeless. Right? If people were good, there'd be no homeless.
Yeah.
If people were good, there'd be no homeless veterans. If
Exactly.
if people were good, we wouldn't have wars. We have to start there. We have to stop saying, "Oh, we're good." No, you're not. We're not. We're terrible people. We're destroying the planet. We've killed species.
Yes.
The bees are barely making it.
No.
We are a virus, and we are the worst thing that ever happened to the planet Earth.
Ourselves.
And I don't even know if it's us. Nothing weird, but 700 years ago, pale-skinned people showed up with blue eyes. I don't know what that is, but that's something we'll talk about later. I'm just saying, brown is brown, and for some reason, everyone with brown skin, there is no black, it's only brown or light brown. For some reason, we all have a natural rhythm with the earth, and the pale ones that are here can't even dance. We'll say that for another time.
And notice how the pale people, they all die. What's the number one leading cause of death? Heart cancer. Where's the heart? The love, the joy. That's why so many people have heart disease, because they have no love. They don't know God. They have no love. They eliminate.
I mean, God, spirituality, like humanity.
Nothing to fall on.
I mean, you don't want, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm a very spiritual guy. I never say religion. Like
Right.
most people don't know I'm Jewish.
Right.
Because I don't put that in because I don't want to. I don't
know,
care if
like,
you're Catholic,
push people,
Christian,
right.
Mormon, whatever. You know, at the end of the day, that's not something we need to debate. Here's what we debate: do you believe in a higher power, or
Yes.
just do you believe that people should be better?
Yes.
Right? For whatever reason, why you want to be better, if it's to pray to Buddha, to pray to
Right.
the money
That's
god,
up to you.
to pray, yeah. But if your God tells you that you need to kill,
No,
it's probably not a
that's
good
not
thing.
The good one.
Yeah.
You should find a new one.
But I also get it where it's like an eye for an eye,
Yeah.
right? But there's a lot of topics that we can cover,
Yeah.
and a lot of conversations that need to be done. But you can't we have to stop, kind of like I guess centralizing it to a subject like Christians versus Catholics.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
not the point. We
you
need to.
guys
You
are-
got to get rid of all the bullshit, and you
yeah,
got to go
that's
right
just
to the thing.
bullshit.
Okay, what is religion?
Yeah.
It's to make you, have some type of, something you believe in. So you need faith.
Yeah.
Faith comes down to one thing: believing in people.
Yeah.
That's it. Doesn't matter what religion you're in. It all comes down to one word. It's called faith. Okay, it doesn't matter what you pray to, who you pray to, what you do. That's what we have to start getting to the bare bones.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of the noise, the rhetoric, the misinformation, the opinions. Because at the end of the day, most information that you get, you don't need. All you needed to know was how to execute.
Yeah.
The rest of it is just people trying to educate more or say their opinion on something. We don't need that. How do I make chocolate milk? Put powder and stir. Okay, done. Like I don't need the history of cocoa, bro. But that's where we need to be. So I'm excited, and that would be, really where I want to blow out the simplicity of chats. And this is why it's important to talk and not have an opinion. So
Yeah.
the next time you have a conversation with anybody, I think the one thing you should always keep in mind is that I'm going to have a conversation without an opinion, and see how that changes your communication. Because when you speak without an opinion, you just speak to learn and share versus dictate. So, good luck, God bless.